look at Powerfleet, AIOT. Pretty good ticker, pretty interesting chart. George, what exactly do they do?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a pretty good chart. It's more than doubled in the last year. But this is essentially an IoT or Internet of Things solutions company. They essentially specify, if you will, or specialties are areas like application program interface and essentially enterprise management systems. But they help improve efficiency and security and safety for connections and products. But we talk a lot about these AI companies, but most of them, for the most part, especially those that are sub $10 or so, they typically have some problems either with balance sheet or earnings yield. But this is a company that's actually been growing its sales, and I also point out, this is interesting enough, the company's been around as a publicly traded entity at least since 1999. So it's not a sort of a fly-by-night startup company. It's been around about 25 years or so, but stock actually, did pretty well today, and it was really based on the back of an acquisition the company made. So this is the company Powerfleet that we're talking about, but they made an acquisition of another company called Fleet Complete, which is essentially a mobile workforce management solutions company that is in vehicle connected technologies. But if you actually dig through, it wasn't just the acquisition. It actually makes a difference on how they make the acquisition. And what I think is supportive of this acquisition and also supportive of the price for the underlying acquirer's company shares, which it was higher by 8% or so today, is that about 125 million of that acquisition was actually a secured loan. And so when we talk about small companies, especially those that haven't achieved profitability, if they can actually demonstrate some debt, that's actually a good sign. It gives you an idea that they have assets and, of course, intellectual property that has collateral for lenders. The other 75 million or so was basically a private placement of equity. So it wasn't an at-the-money offering. That's also another good sign because somebody is willing to assure a placement of shares by $75 million. And so in essence, about 5 million of the acquisition was basically new shares, a new share offering. So I think this is an interesting case of acquisitions because of good credit standings and good prospects. And the reason I say good here is if you look at the sales for the business in the last year, they're around 180 million. The guidance going forward, and this is pre-acquisition, by the way, so it's not inclusive of the revenues that will be coming from an inorganic basis, but sales are estimated to be around 302 million in the next fiscal year, which is higher by 35%. And lastly, what's interesting about this is if you look at the adjusted losses for the fiscal year, they're expected to be 20 cents. But in fact, just going forward another 4 quarters, they're expected to be adjusted profitable by 20 cents. So, we talk about some small cap companies. This one is, relatively small. It's got a 500 million market cap. Sales last year close to 180 million, expect to be 300 million. But they are expected to at least break even in the next couple of quarters. So with that said, I think this is certainly one to keep worth watching.
All right. Well, I mean, amazing chart on the year for sure. And it seems like finally some of these expectations of how we're going to, really see advancement in Internet of Things, which I think is actually a super interesting category that keeps finding new ways to connect, everyday stuff. And it's a pretty compelling industry, I think, like from a growth perspective still. It's separate from some of the AI stuff, very much so. But like you're just going to get new applications then.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing about these companies like Powerfleet is they are connecting devices with software. And I think the application space, especially with the enterprise management, and management, security management as well, is quite compelling. It's sort of an intermediary technology versus your core artificial intelligence, which are also going to probably be integrating. But nonetheless, the connected, infrastructure is associated with either enterprise applications, but also everything from enterprise systems and hardware from a consumer standpoint. IoT is still there and it's growing. It's just not growing the way artificial intelligence has been, particularly in the last 6 quarters or so.
Okay. All right. Fun stuff, George. Nice find. Acquisitions, tech themes, and stock staying up during acquisitions. So it seems like the market's got a lot of confidence in it. All right. Fun one to break us out of our Fed obsession. Thanks, GT. Appreciate that.